reflect on that love. Finish up later. Speaking of finishing up, my favorite thing about this series so far is I've gotten emails, calls, and seen people at the store that have said, you're not reading every verse out of these chapters. It's like, no, I'm not. Well, I keep going home and reading the rest of it, studying, and you left a lot out. Well, now we're caught up. That's the thing about doing a sermon series on a book of the Bible. You will grow in it. It will become a part of you. There's my favorite show on TV right now. I'm going to give two people guesses what my favorite show on TV. Just yell it out. What's my favorite show? Anybody?
Lost.
Okay, you win. My second favorite show. By the way, you're my wife. You don't count. My second favorite show. Anybody? You won't guess it. Huh? Pawn Kings. Pawn Stars. Very good, Brandon. Pawn Stars. If you've ever seen Pawn Stars, it is on the History Channel. It's awesome. It centers around a dad and his son and his son. And they have this little pawn shop in Vegas, right? And all the time you see it, it's not like when you go to a Pawn Star, you got to pay your bills, so you bring your wedding ring in. They don't really do that on the show. What they do is they wheel in like the coolest stuff, like pinball machines and helicopters. Well, not in the store, but and they bring in all this cool stuff. Some people, they have hard luck stories. They explain the fact that, man, I don't have the money to take care of any of this. I can't pawn it. I have to sell it because I'm going to lose my house. So they'll bring something. The other day, someone had a spoon that was made by Paul Revere. Who has that, right? But they had that. It was a spoon made by Paul Revere, so that's a big deal. Next episode, they had somebody with a lottery ticket. George Washington signed it. I kid you not. He did. That is the kind of show it is. Now, every person comes in there, and they come with a lot of animosity on them, right? Because they're not wondering if what I have is cool, because obviously it is. I got on TV. That's not what they're wondering. They're wondering, how much is this thing worth that I brought in? What's it worth to you? Because to me, it's been passed down in my family for generations and generations and generations. It means the world to me. What's your price on it? How do you measure it? Is it worthy? Some of you see God that way, don't you? You have your life that means so much to you, and you think you've made the right decisions, but you don't know if they were decisions you made for you or for Him. And you just want to know, God, am I worthy? Am I worthy? Because I think I am. But do you think I am? When you read 1 John, the word love appears over and over and over again. And it's a Greek word, agape. Everybody say it with me. Agape.
Agape.
Agape. Now, here's the thing about agape. Agape is a phrase that means perfect love. A theologian named Rob Bell said it like this. He said, agape doesn't love somebody because they're worthy. Agape makes them worthy by the strength and power of His love. Agape doesn't love because they're beautiful. Agape loves in such a way that makes them beautiful. God's not impressed with the new shoes you got. God doesn't love you because of that. God doesn't love you because you got the coolest car on the block. God doesn't love you because you were an athlete in high school. God doesn't love you because of that. Agape is just perfect and unconditional love. That's what it's there for. Every time there was plays in the Greek world, the word agape was used because the guy who loves the girl, it has to be agape. If it's not the audience won't pay attention. It's agape. Now for us, really, we don't see ourselves always as bad as we are. Okay, we really don't. Sometimes we see ourselves as like an eHarmony ad. Check those out sometime, okay? Not that I am. But check those out sometime. It always says things like, well, I am very smart, and I'm athletically built, and I can type so many words a minute, and I play jazz music. It always says the great things about you. That's how we list ourselves. We don't really need to with God, because he kind of knows. You can't really front with him like you can with us. That's not really God. Really, when we're dealing with God, it's kind of like what the great theologian Chris Rock once said. He said it's like this. When you first start dating a woman, she doesn't meet you. She meets your representative. You know what I mean? The sensitive guy, right? The guy that you're sitting on the couch and you apparently all of a sudden hate SportsCenter. Right? Like, oh, man, is what not to wear on? You know? That's your representative. And she'll meet that guy. She may love that guy. But pretty soon, representative's got to go home. And then you come in the picture. That's how we carry ourselves sometimes. We're just not that into who we are, so we want everybody to see the only good things. It's like how a bag of potato chips, we talked about a few months ago, says no trans fat. But it doesn't say the other million things that are going to kill you in that potato chip. That's who we are. Now the thing about the book of 1 John, it's like how Rob talked about. The first 2 chapters of 1 John, it talks about love, sure, but it talks about sin. This chapter talks about sin over and over and over again. It makes you think, I'm a sinner. That's just what I am. I totally am. And then it keeps mentioning the word love. It's the word grace. It's the word favor. And we don't always understand that. It's like God saying, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get baptized, so you're going to marry me. And once you marry me, the only thing is, I know you're going to betray me every day. I know that. You're going to. You are going to go around town with every person you want to. But I'm still going to be your groom, is what God said. But here's the thing. Don't expect me to stop loving you just because you stop loving me. Don't expect that. The thing about this book, too, is he mentions that we sin over and over again, but he doesn't really mention what sins we have, because deep down, we know. You know what your sin is. You may say, I'm an alcoholic. You may say, I'm addicted to pornography. You may say, I have a problem with my language, right? But that just means you're a sinner. That's all that means. He doesn't even have to tell you that. The Apostle Paul, we probably read from more in this church than anybody. And he said the words, I am the sinner of all sinners. What I want to do, I do not do. What I should do, I never do. He said, sinner of all sinners means I'm a bigger sinner than you can ever imagine being. But no one teaches grace more than Paul. Sometimes we deal with sin different ways. Sometimes we deal with it by just denying it exists in our life. Chapter 1 says, he who says I am not a sinner is a fool. And he lies to God and himself. We just lie to ourselves. Another new show on. Everybody's seen, it's an A&E show called Hoarders. You guys seen Hoarders? That's a trip, right? You guys are smiling. This is basically what Hoarders are. It is somebody who lives in a house, and you walk in, there's about waist deep of garbage. There's, old thing Christmas decorations in the house, and you can't even get in places, and the bathroom is covered with everything else. And it's not just dirty, it's the fact that they have a condition where they don't throw anything away for decades. That's what Hoarders is. That's what it looks like. Last week's episode,